Hi, it's Deborah. Welcome to Twisted Tales of True Crime. Today I want to discuss with you a little bit about the documentation that I saw on that just got dropped, specifically the TikTok warrant, the Microsoft warrant, but I want to focus a little bit on Bethany and Dylan and Ethan because I'm curious as to why the prosecution wanted to have the window for the warrant for Dylan and Bethany from June 2022 all the way to the present day. What does that mean? Are they under investigation? It just strikes me as very curious because that tells me they are monitoring or looking at all types of things that could have been happening with their communication and their activity after the deaths of their roommate, which to me is logical sense. But they want the world and themselves to have a sense of security that these two young women are not involved. What do you guys think? A lot of people are not paying close attention or haven't really put in full analyzation of what's really happening on this TikTok, order, this subpoena. Basically, the prosecution subpoenaed TikTok for some information. But what makes this so curious is they want TikTok information associated with Ethan, with Dylan, and with Bethany. Let me show you it. See, it was at the very bottom showing that they actually completed this. Okay, so here, what makes this so interesting is they want they wanted the information that's associated with all of Ethan's email addresses and his phone numbers for Ethan's TikTok. And they also want the search warrant also covers Dylan Mortensen's account. But look at the dates here. They wanted to get a search warrant from between June 1st to the present. That's very interesting. What do you guys think? To me, if you're looking to do a search warrant from June the 1st, 2022 to the present, you want to know what type of communication and activities that have possibly been going on with Dylan Mortensen since the time, the early fall school year of 2022 coming all the way to present day. And they also want that same information for June the 1st to present day for Bethany Funk. A lot of us, if you really think about it, the prosecution wanted to make sure that Dylan and Bethany were very comfortable, with knowing that they're not suspects or anything like that. What this tells me is, it tells me a lot of things. It tells me that there is still an ongoing investigation and there still is some curiosity with anything associated with Dylan and Bethany with their TikTok account. There's something there. And remember, inside the affidavit, in the original affidavit, there was a dialogue about Zaina's phone was still showing that she was on TikTok late that night. But to me, this also speaks volume about Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. Imagine there could possibly be some other people involved in this murder. Because I never felt like it was just one person. To me, this speaks volume, because the type of information they want, it says the above information shall include the following: all identity and contact information, full name, email address, physical address, birth, date of birth, phone numbers, genders, hometown, occupation, and personal identifiers, all past, current usernames. This could be any account that was ever opened by Dylan, by Bethany, or you know, Ethan. So they're wanting to know all this information. They also want to know dates and times at which account the profiles were created, and the internet protocol IP addresses at the time of sign up. They also want to know the activity logs activity logs, including the IP logs, and documenting showing IP addresses and data. All of this stuff to the layperson is like some technical jargon, but let me try to explain to you what they're after here. And then also look, in number 5, this is really critical. All information regarding the particular devices used to log in to or access the account, including all device identifiers information, or cookie information. Cookie information is like all the different websites they could have possibly visited, dates and times. This tells me that they are still open, possibly, to other evidence associated with this murder. We all, everybody on the internet, including mainstream media, are not trying to put any type of strong curiosities around Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk. And they're not even talking about Ethan, who could have possibly have been a target or so. Let me help glue this together, because this is my specialty when it comes to information technology. Because right now we live in an information world. You think that, okay, when it came to discovering the genetic genealogy with Kohberger and identifying him as a suspect because there was microparticles of his skin cells, that was left on the knife sheath. Well, in the world of the internet, there's so many breadcrumbs that are out there that can help you get to, that tells a story, a complete story. Well, especially if you can put aggregate the data in such a way, aggregate meaning connect the different relationships together so that you can build out a picture. So basically, think of it like this: Ethan, Dylan, and Bethany, they all have a phone. And on the phone, you have apps. All of us have apps. But the phone itself has a registered name, and we call that in the computer world MAC addresses, or they call it an ID that's associated with the phone. And then your address where you live, or where you log into, or even if it's wireless, or wireless provider, or a landline, the IP address tells you exactly where the connection originated from. Now, the fact that the prosecution has the information from Dylan Mortensen and also Bethany, from what the metadata is showing, basically now they can put together a lineage of what all IP addresses they've logged into. They could have went and got coffee. They could have went to Washington State and been on various different Wi-Fis. They could have went home and been on different Wi-Fis there. They could have downloaded various different uh, things that are associated with TikTok, purchase something online. So they want to know those things. What this is going to help them do, and along with also, I'm assuming that they probably pulled this from Microsoft. And so they know the different apps that they have had on their phone, but all of these different apps also gives them a picture, or rather gives the authorities the picture of different locations that their phone could have possibly have been in, because their metadata that's associated with that, those are IP addresses, not necessarily a cell tower, but an IP address where they may have casually used somebody's Wi-Fi. And then what that will do is help them build relationship connections with people who have possibly utilized the same IP addresses that they have. Like if Kohberger was at a coffee shop where they were, so he may have logged in there before and they've logged in. So this is similar, so you can find patterns of things. You can find locality of where they've been. But more than anything, if they are currently looking at the information from Dylan and Bethany now, they are actively still watching them, monitoring their communications in some way, form, or fashion, or their social media activity. So they're still, in my eyes, even though Dylan is supposed to be a witness, she is still also looked at as being, is under investigation. That's the way I look at it, because unless Kohberger from the jailhouse has access itself to the internet, which I highly doubt he has that type of connection. I know he's able to have a device where he can look at his files to help with the court case. But at the end of the day, because, they have subpoenaed the information from Dylan Mortensen and from Ethan Chapin and also from Bethany, that speaks volume. They only wanted to know Dylan's information all the way until November the 14th, 2022, because there's no other activity that they would suspect or expect from his phone because he's dead. But for them to have to comfort Dylan and Bethany, to make them feel comfortable that they're no longer under investigation, I think that's a ruse. I think that right now the investigation is the public storyline is that these girls are victims. But my thing is, okay, so you have these victims under investigation all the way up until this point. If I was Dylan and I was Bethany, I would definitely keep my lawyers and I would keep as much of my mouth shut as possible, because if it turns out that Bryan Kohberger really has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with this investigation, then they are definitely curious as to what are those other males' DNA. They may say that they're not publicly, but this search warrant speaks volumes to me. It speaks volumes. So join me tomorrow and let's see what happens with the hearing. I just wanted to get that little tidbit out there because I think that this search warrant speaks volumes. So thank you again for joining Twisted Tales of True Crime. Again, I'm just starting out, so I'm kind of blogging, and so I'm new at this. So eventually I'll get a standardized format for you guys to follow. Please join the community. Like I said, I'm new to this and I'm really excited. I will be putting this together a little bit more cleaner for you in the future. But for now, I'm just going to be blogging about it. Sometimes you'll see my face, sometimes you won't. But for now, I just wanted to get that thought out there. So thank you again for joining me. I definitely do appreciate you. Again, like, subscribe to this video. And I definitely appreciate you tuning in.